What's going on, everybody? We're back for another episode of the Crane Kicks podcast. We've got a whole crew. Everybody's here. Just like at the game the other day, we were running strong. Even got on TV thanks to Kyle. His fame just brought the cameras around. Yeah. Just the devilish good looks, the whole model flair. I don't know. They probably thought he was a pro soccer player, and that's why they got us on national television. So,
Tyler,
thanks, Kyle.
Are you able to walk around without being crowded by the paparazzi? I don't know.
It's really tough. I know Kyle said that he has to actually just like close himself up in his house, shut the curtains. I unfortunately have to go out amongst the people, and they kind of mob me a little bit. It's really, really tough out there, but I'll live with it. It'll be okay.
That was a really cool shout out, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, if you were at the game, you don't know, it was cool. Like, me and Kyle ended up being on the broadcast when we were cheering on our goal from Epps. So they caught kind of a candid moment of us, and they actually shouted out the podcast, which was insane. Not something that you really think.
Only mentioned one of us, though. I noticed that. There was only one of us actually mentioned, but
that's sure because everybody knows who you guys are. No, I mean, everybody knows who you all are. So that's
and there's also Tyler of the podcast.
Yes,
and he'll be talking solo about this match.
All by myself. You're actually all AI, and I just use different voices for each of you myself. So if anybody was wondering,
we know you based me and Kyle off yourself in AI.
Yes,
so make another one.
Well, Jessica,
make a better looking one. Add a nose ring.
Yeah. Well, and then people were like, "Hey, they all kind of look the same," and I was like, "Dang it, I gotta be more creative with this one." So, Jessica, there we go. Air quotes. Air quote AI creations. I'm going to. But no, it's cool stuff. It was a fun weekend for us. I feel like we were just bathed in LSC soccer. It was constant all week. We had Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. I was ready for it to stop. I was fleeing all the soccerness by the end of that. But it was really cool to have so much LSC all in 1 week. It just kind of flowed. I had a long week, and it was really good to have those outlets 3 different days, go out there, see everybody, have a blast. Good crowds again. I mean, Wednesday was a little light, but it's a midweek game. Open Cup, we'll talk about that. Saturday was really good again. That was a really well-attended match. Sunday, the weather was terrible. Of course, we have UK basketball all afternoon, so it'll get there. But I don't know. I'm feeling ready to talk about some stuff. We got lots on the docket here. Can we just go ahead and address, because it seems to be a little bit of like a hot button thing, almost as much as our initial kit, our away kits that were unveiled on Wednesday. So for the Open Cup, we get a first look at our away kits for our home match. What are we thinking about these bourbon-inspired kits? Let's get some hot takes.
I will go first since I wasn't the highest on the initial home kit that was revealed. I will chime in and say that I'm a fan of these. I actually thought they were really well executed, well done. Obviously, for like a traditional North American sports fan, it's weird to just see like the shockingly different color than what the like primary colors are. I think we would typically think of this as like a third kit or an alternate kit, but it does seem like this is going to be the away kit, which so it's just going to take kind of some getting used to in terms of just seeing the color itself. Obviously, we've just been green all the way, or black or white, but I thought it was really well done. I thought the kind of gradient in the kit itself is cool. The little collar's neat. I always love a collar on a soccer kit, just a nice touch, nice and classy. And then as we kind of chatted too, having a different color isn't necessarily that abnormal in soccer around the world. Typically you'll see a club that has 2 or 3 kits. One of them might be a completely different color. I threw out the example that of the team I cheer for, Crystal Palace. In the past, their away kits have been white and Carolina blue. This year, they're just like a shocking neon yellow. So it's just it's not like this framework that we think of uniforms in North America being like, one of your three main colors or whatever. Obviously, this is very different, and I like the direction it went, and I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree overall. I feel like they're well done kits, and I loved them even more when I saw them in person. When the players walked down in them,
That too.
That's when it kind of hit me. Like seeing them on the video and seeing pictures of them, it was great. But seeing me in person, I just kind of got to appreciate a little bit more of that gradient coloring. The stripes, the collar, how it all kind of meshed together. I thought that was really good. And I know a lot of people are giving us heat for having an orange kit in a UK city, but actually, like a lot of Lou City fans, believe it or not, today online were coming to the defense in a little bit of a way, and saying, it doesn't always have to be that soccer teams are tied to the collegiate basketball teams. It's not even the same program. So I kind of appreciate that because as much as, I like watching UK, but I wouldn't consider myself like a mega UK person, right? So sometimes like when everybody's like, yeah, but you did this and it doesn't align with UK, I'm like, can we just be our own team? Can we be our own thing? So if I'm taking out like the whole it's orange like Tennessee, I think it's a great kit. And honestly, I feel like the only reason anybody is saying anything negative against it is because of that connotation. Like this is UK city territory, and that's Tennessee colors, so I can't wear it. And it's like, just don't marry the two things. I know our front of kit sponsor is UK Healthcare, but it is what it is. And I feel like if you take that out, it's really well done. I was kind of surprised about how much I liked it. I was actually, you guys were watching me. I was sitting in the store like, oh, do I go ahead and buy this or do I get the home one? But this one's really awesome. And I was just going back and forth, and I'm still kind of undecided, but I like it.
Yeah. It's really grown on me. And I do like that we have I like that we've separated ourselves from UK. That we're trying to become our own entity and be really clear about that. I know we're a big college town, but yeah, having that separate part is really nice. So I would definitely say they've grown on me. I was a little hesitant at first, similar to a lot of other people, and I'm not a big orange person, so the likelihood of me buying it is not very high, but that's not a big deal. But I still, and my biggest thing, you can see the numbers. You can see the names and numbers.
That is a nice touch.
That is a win right there. Go ahead, Dylan.
I think they're nice. I think they're clean kits. I like the collars. Kenny, I know you're listening, and I know that you hate that, but sorry, the collars are nice and they pop.
They are.
Yeah, I like that it's different. I like that it's orange. It's cool. My only problem is like that it's the away kit. I don't want it to be the away kit. I would prefer if it was like the third alternate, or just like the cup kit. For the Open Cup and for the Jaeger Cup going forward. I just don't like that we're kind of like going away from our primary colors. I think a lot of us really like green, and the greens that we have chosen are really attractive, whether it's the light or the dark shades. I think they're all really good. And I think fans really just want to see those greens come back and, just implement those really well. And whether that's just like a white kit with green lettering or a green kit with white lettering, just like simple like that. I think we don't need to muddy the waters, make it too complex. I just think like a nice green kit would do everyone well. I think it also does really well for continuity within the brand too, to have green, your logo's green, have a green jersey so people can wear it to the stadium and feel, like if you're wearing orange, it feels like you're a little disjointed, and it's like, who's that guy rooting for Tennessee? If you're a casual fan, and it's your first game, and you see someone in the stands wearing the away kit, people are going to wonder what that is. So I just think branding wise, this would be a good third kit. And I would really like to see a nice, primary color, away kit.
Yeah. I do think like in a vacuum, it's a cool kit. But to Dylan's point, like they're, a club that's in its third year that's had only one actual green kit. Technically two if you count the Spark kit. Like, I guess it's kind of the time and score type thing that you're, you got to look at where you are as a club. So I get that aspect for sure. I mean, I think they're cool. I think they're clean. They look great with the white shorts and socks. But yeah, I mean, Dylan makes a good point just because it's, you don't have your brand solidified and you're like, to use Dylan's words, muddy in the water a little bit. I mean, I think they're, to me, sometimes you could overthink it. Like, I think they're cool, but I definitely agree that
I got a pink kit.
They come across as like a,
like
that's kind of a one and.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm all for the variety. Is my just
I do miss the green. I do miss.
And I think if you use them for cup matches, like you'd still get good use out of them. Obviously, we're not going to be a club that has a bunch of different custom, kits or whatever. But I feel like, the Premier League and a lot of leagues where you have the name and typeface is standard across the league, except for when they go play like the FA Cup or whatever, or the Champions League, and you get to see their same kits but like different numbers and whatever. And obviously, our budget's not going to be like new kits for every match, but this could be a way to kind of break away from like the USL, approach. And while the Jaeger Cup is still a USL thing, it could be like a cup kit, so kind of like a light version of that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I would be interested to see if there's another kit coming out, what it looks like. But I do think a return to green would be a move in the right direction as well.
Yeah. If whatever next kit they make isn't green, I would be upset.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of suspect with that being a third kit, it almost feels like maybe that's like our workaround to be able to get green into the rotation. Because a lot of teams use white, some use like some funky off color for a way that a lot of other teams don't tend to use. So I don't know. I have high hopes. I know we have a third coming at some point. I really am hopeful that it's going to be something green prominent, green forward. Because it's just nice. You know what I mean? Like we have had in the past, like those days where it was like, let's have a blackout day at the stadium. Everybody wear your black kits and your black shirts and everything. But it'd be cool to have like greenouts, considering that's our primary. So I'm with all of you all. Getting green heavily into the rotation is really important. And I understand, some people are like, well, maybe it's just kind of offsetting us with the women's team. I don't really think you need to do that. I don't think you have to offset us from the women's team. It's one crest, one club, right? So they're combined anyway. So what's the problem with having two primary green kits, or in this case, at least like a third? But it's not a bad one.
To that point, Tyler, I've even thought about getting like just the like men's version of the women's kit because
so you could have green,
so I can wear a green jersey, and
And I would say to Dylan's point earlier, as far as at the game on Saturday, I saw someone wearing an orange kit, and I had to do a double take until I realized, oh no, they're wearing the bourbon kit. But initially, I was like, okay, never mind, we're good. It took me a second to realize they were wearing the bourbon kit.
Right, but I don't know. I don't think it's a miss. I think it's pretty solid. I'm just curious to see what number 3 will be. I think I need to see all 3 before I like decide this is going to be the one this season for me, because we already talked about our problems with the home one. This one is great, but maybe isn't like that's Lexington. As far as the green's concerned, but I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence on it, but I don't think it's a complete miss by any means for this one. Okay. Kid talk. We got that. Let's talk about a new signing. We'll just spend like a couple minutes on this, right? So we've got somebody in the mix that actually has been eyed by the club, to our knowledge, for some time. So used to play for did I say it with enough force? The Ohio State University. Michael Adedokun, he is joining the club. it seems like the club's pretty excited to have him in here. I mean, he's a baller. He just is. Mac Herman Award winner. I think he is somebody that could really make an impact for us. He was actually drafted into the MLS, and now we got him. I kind of get the sense that they expect him to be an impact player for us, can play in the central midfield role as well as a few others. And I know it's kind of strange almost, right, to hear that we have another player in, because it feels like we're so deep. We're so deep, in fact, that we're just sending people to all the far reaches of USL, right? We're like, who would like a Lexington player? Who would like to be successful because of us? I mean, I joked with you guys. I feel like that's almost our strategy. You just plant a LSC player in every single League One team, and then whichever one wins the championship, you're like, Lexington Sporting Club did that for you, man. And
it's because we gave you Nico Brown.
Yeah, or Zadliati, or like any of our number of players that we've sent out there. I don't know that I get the sense that Michael is going to be one of those ones that gets auto loaned, but who knows, because we've had some pretty talented people leaving. And I think that it's starting to become not very well kept secret that there's another one going out, but nothing real official, right? So who knows? But I'm real excited to have him here. I think that us going out and capturing all this extra talent and experimenting and seeing who can do what. We have those couple 25-day contracts that are in the works right now, getting those guys some reps like Jack Beer. I think you're going to distill down to that core, which we've kind of already found, right? But you can make a little tweak here and there. And then, of course, like we saw with Open Cup, which we'll get to here in a second, you have plenty of talent to play in those cup games and then keep other people fresh for league games. So you really aren't going to experience a lot of that drop off between the two as you switch, or between the three, really, because when you add Jaeger Cup into the mix, there's a third one, right? So I think we're being very, very smart about keeping the talent stacked in there so we don't have those problems other teams might face. But I don't know. I'm really excited. Yeah, go ahead.
It's worth noting too, he's on loan with Lexington, so from Montreal. So I mean, it's a player that I think, and as you mentioned, Tyler has been at least mentioned around the leadership of the club for some time. So I mean, great resume. Obviously, Ohio State was didn't win the championship this past fall, but was the number one team for most of the year, and he, as you mentioned, took home the top individual prize for a college soccer player. So very impressive resume for such a young talent. So we'll see.
Yeah. Seems like a super nice dude too. Ran into him on the field at the last match, and he was pretty chill. So it's always nice. It's always nice to have those players that are around as well. We know that. So another fresh set of legs in the mix. All right. This is kind of a biggie. I didn't really make a bunch of posts for us on social media or anything, partly because last week was absolutely crazy for me, but also because I felt like we needed to just kind of like chat about it as opposed to just throwing stuff out there, in a giant Twitter thread. It's not really a very well kept secret, right? Because it keeps going back and forth like, all right, we're going to vote on it. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. But ProRel supposedly is officially coming to the league. Just USL, right? It's not going to be for every league, but for USL as soon as 2028. So we might actually have a system set up by then where it is possible that we move up to the D1 league or we get relegated to USL 1, which is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But there is that potential for clubs, right? Where there is movement, there's free movement based on merit, based on winning, based on losing, whatever the case might be. Good, bad, in between. How do we feel about ProRel actually going to be a thing? It's not just like a rumor. It's like they're saying this is our plan now.
I'm so excited about it. Like, I've been wanting this forever. I think it's so awesome. I think it's not really unique, really, because so many other places in the world do it. But it feels unique to America, and to have that in American soccer is going to like really amplify things. I think it will help heighten the skill level overall. I think the product is going to just be so much better, and it's going to be a lot more fun, and it's going to mean more to communities. And that's the thing that is most attractive to me, is like being with the fans in those promotion or relegation moments. Whether we're fighting against relegation, and we're, it's the last match of the season, it's a home match, and we're all just like sweating out every single touch of the ball. Like I'm excited for those moments to be there with you guys, like it's going to be so cool. And yeah, I'm just super stoked about it, to be honest with you guys. Jessica, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely excited for the opportunities it's going to bring. We're still just kind of diving as a family, still kind of diving into all that. And unfortunately, our Wolves, they're at the bottom of the tables in the Premier League right now. So we may be experiencing that in the near future. But in that sense, just knowing and sweating out each game, like, are we going to get the points to stay where we need to go? And I think bringing that here will definitely add another level of competition and excitement. So yeah, I'm stoked for it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I feel that. Trust me, as an Everton fan, all the potential relegation the last few years, I'm just like, what's happening? What's going on? Kyle, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, I mean, it keeps everybody interested, like to Dylan's point too, interested in, just because you might not be a playoff team, there's still something to fight for, even if it's just avoiding relegation. And so now you're really tuned in also to the other teams in this ecosystem, not just your own like set of, USL Championship or 1 or 2 or however it ends up being divided up. I do think that overall it's great for the players too. I feel like research tends to support that, like, not only players but clubs as well generally benefit from greater revenue sharing vehicles. So I think it's going to be great for a lot of the, smaller clubs, I guess is one way to put it. I do think USL2 is set up as a franchise based league versus like the MLS, which I think is a lot more player focused and league and kind of league focused. The USL really, I think, champions the spirit of each individual club and like that club's culture and that club's community and that club's, whatever, instead of being like one shield type of thing. So I think the pro rel is going to help just solidify that even more, where now you're going to have not only leagues and teams that are more in tune with where they are, in the structure, but also you're going to have the revenue sharing that comes with it. And so hopefully a lot of the operations, the facilities, player benefits and all that stuff just continues to grow because of it. So it's kind of like we're all kind of helping each other out in a little bit of ways. I do think obviously there's pros and cons with everything. And I think, we are a culture that is so just, I feel like, accustomed, especially from the ownership level, to like making business decisions based on like facts and based on what we can predict in the future. And this obviously takes a lot of that out of it, where it's like, can probably be a little bit scary for these ownership groups to like buy into this type of thing. And so kudos to, those who really kind of put pen to paper and made this happen. Obviously it's still a few years away, but I think it'll be beneficial and it'll be awesome from a fan standpoint too. So yeah, I mean, I'm just as stoked as anyone else.
And just for fans out there that aren't really like plugged in to that whole situation, there were only 4 owners in the USL that voted no. So it was like a super majority that was like all in on this, and obviously we don't know which way our club voted on that, but we do have a very ambitious club. So it's not hard to imagine that we were for it, but we can't say for sure. But it just kind of goes to show that there are a lot of owners that believe that this is an opportunity that you can't really pass up on. And the risk that Kyle's talking about is worth taking in their minds from a business standpoint and from growing the league. And stuff like this really does kind of help set the league apart. Competing with MLS, I don't know if you want to say competing with, right? Because catching up to MLS is pretty tough. You know, like a lot of people are like, well, how are they going to go toe to toe? I don't know that we're going to go toe to toe per se, but I do think that this will help us keep offering another option for fan bases, especially, you know, at a more local level, in the sense of you have all these cities that maybe aren't quite as big as they should be if they want an MLS team, but they can get a USL team, and then they could still potentially be playing D1 based on how everything's set up. And, you know, the excitement level, the stress level, it's all going to be there. I just even think about last year, there was no pro rel, but I mean, I know you guys know with Richmond, where we were trying to see, you know, what was going to happen with them. And, you know, we could finish anywhere from 12th to 9th, depending on all these different results. So every Lexington fans watching all these different games being like, oh man, what's going to happen with this? Are we going to make it, you know, at least to 9th to try and salvage something from the season? Or are we going to like get the wooden spoon and be in 12th, be the laughing stock of the league? Now it's going to be a little bit higher stakes, right? It's not just that people are going to be like, ha, you were last, here's a wooden spoon. It's like, well, you were last and now you're going down a league. So I think that it does, to Kyle's point, keep everybody interested all the way through. Even people that aren't fans of just that team, everybody wants to see what's going to happen between the teams that are duking it out for, you know, staying alive to make it into, you know, the next year in that same league without losing out and getting relegated down. So I think it'll be really cool. And it seems, based on the interviews that have been done with, you know, people in very influential spots within the league, that they are either figuring out or have figured out ways to kind of add security nets in place, so that way it doesn't kill clubs. So you don't want that type of thing. I feel encouraged, though, that we're trying to get ahead of that and make it something that can have that intensity, have that draw, but not be so dangerous for the ecosystem.
I do feel like with the balance of power in terms of, like, even if you just look at the total wages for each team, like the top of USL Championship all the way down is like, that's a much more narrow, you know, from the haves to have nots than like in the Premier League, where you're talking like literal millions of dollars and billions, some of these separating these teams. And so I think, you know, the top and bottom of the USL are much closer in that sense. And you know, so if you have a team that gets promoted, you know, I think in Europe or in England, you'll have clubs that are really like meant to be, you know, championship clubs. And if they get promoted, great, but they don't like break the bank trying to compete in Premier for one league just to be sent back down. And then all of a sudden they're floundering. So like teams kind of know where they're supposed to be. And then you have some of them that kind of yo-yo back and forth. But I think here, at least, you know, the floor and the ceiling are much closer in terms of just the, you know, the player salary and how much it costs to run a team. And, you know, there's not really like the Manchester Uniteds and cities and all that, like upper echelon. It's, you know, I think we're much closer.
I'd agree with that 100%. We'll see in a few years. And it'll be interesting as well how it's received, you know, once we have the World Cup come back around to the U.S. in between now and then, and then kind of how it grows from just getting more eyes on the sport yet again, because with it being here, there are going to be way more people that all of a sudden plug in, and then maybe they get a little bit more into the European game. Maybe they start understanding a little bit more of what USL is trying to build here. Maybe it builds even more than it had before. So exciting stuff, exciting times. I think it's good. I know there are a lot of people that would argue against, but I think overall it's a net good for the league and for teams. So we'll see what happens. All right. Can we talk about Open Cup? I am so psyched with our Open Cup results. I've been dying to talk about it. It just seems like the past 2 years hurt our feelings way too much. I mean, year one wasn't that bad. A 1-0 loss to Lou City in our very first year, and that was like one of our first games. Like, okay, all right, I can kind of deal with that. Last year, of course, we keep talking about the trauma up in Vermont. I don't even eat syrup on my pancakes anymore. But now here we are. We get an opponent. We face off against Southern Indiana and demolish them 5-0. and I know somebody's out there be like, oh, you feel like a big man saying you beat a USL2 team or UPSL team. Yes, I do, because I finally feel like there's a weight off of my shoulders that we actually made it out of the first round of the US Open Cup and are going to live to see round 2 against an opponent that I think we can beat, by the way. This performance from the team, we saw a lot of rotation. You know, we talked about it earlier in the episode. Like, we were very, very deep. We have a lot of different people that we can deploy in a variety of situations. And I think we saw that happening in this game. Of course, we saw a lot of our first teamers, make appearances either to start or later on in the game to kind of switch things up a little bit, keep legs fresh. It was a great game, though. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if you guys even noticed it, but it was like, as we scored each goal, I feel like the insanity from the crowd got less and less. And it wasn't because we were like, oh, okay, I'm kind of tired of watching this. I think it was because people were just like, did we just score another one? Wait, this isn't real life. When does this happen for us? We're in an actual competition and we're dropping this many goals on a team. I think at some points everybody was just holding their breath, waiting for it to be called offside or pulled back for some reason, and then everybody's like, "Oh, we did it! This is great." I don't know. Like, looking at this game and the overall results and the players that we saw, what kind of stood out to you guys from this one?
Well, I think for me, it was just so much fun. Mm-hmm. Austin and I left that game just like, man, just had an absolute blast. And I know we haven't been following LSC as long as you guys, but after having so many games that have been just disappointing, it feels so good to dominate. Because it just doesn't happen very often. The last game we dominated like that was the 6-0 against Fuego. And it was 6-0, right? Like, we shut them out.
We dropped 7 on them. We dropped
7
on them.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Kyle's
sorry. Sorry. So,
7.
It just felt, and again, I know we're playing a team that, just wasn't as high up in that sense, but yeah, it was just so much fun, and it just felt good to win.
I think what Jessica's trying to say is they want you to act like you've been there before, and we really ain't been there before. Like, it's fun. You know what I mean?
We have not.
Yeah, exactly.
I showed up with like my paper map, and I was like, is this, where am I at on this? And they're like, you're here, buddy. And I'm like, well, this has 5 goals. Yeah. It was just,
and I won
a bigger crowd.
And I won the predictions.
You did. Oh, okay. So we got to address this elephant in the room. I'm calling you out for this one, Dylan. Dylan was like, we have to stay at 4-0, so my prediction's right. They can't score anywhere. It has to be 4-0. It can't be anything but.
I stand by it.
You stop putting that voodoo on us, man. We need
I stand by what
I stand by what I said. A bazillion.
I felt pretty good about that.
Jessica's. I know, that was so funny. They ended up with Jessica's scoreline, and Jessica's like, I guessed it.
I did it.
Yeah. I wish there were more people, and I get it was a Wednesday and it was a non-league game and everything, but it really was fun. And I don't know, just it had good vibes about the game, not just from the scoring, but everything was just kind of, I don't know, different. It felt just good the whole time. And for example, and this is kind of like a random thing, but everybody sitting with the Railbirds, we were heckling their keeper. But when I say heckling, it was kind of like this weird, like, exchanging pleasant jokes with each other. You couldn't be mean to the guy. He was like the nicest person ever. Like, Dylan was like, hey man, tough night, right? And he's like, yeah, you guys are good. And I'm like, you're not supposed to say, yeah, you guys are good. You're supposed to be like, whatever, buddy.
I said, you having a tough night? And he's like, these guys can play, eh?
Right? And that was like every banter with him. Every banter was just
Canadian?
Like,
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, it sounded Canadian or Minnesota,
It did sound like my people.
Something like that.
But he was like so chill.
Yeah. He was a good sport too.
He was.
And we went on the field and we were like, hey, you're a good sport, like good game, like those guys were tough for you, man.
Yeah. we couldn't help ourselves. We all did like literally go up to him and we were like, yeah, we appreciate you being cool about that, man. And he's like, yeah, no. And I was like, but I really wish I could have heckled you more. Like, wish you would have gotten mad. And I mean, we were just so dominant. It was kind of wild. You know, I remember Jessica's husband, Austin, at one point, he's like, what do you guys think possession is? And I'm like, I don't know, like 83-17. And in my brain, I'm like, there's no way it's that lopsided. And he's like, well, right now it's like 81-19. And I was like, I was just kind of like joking. I'm joking about the possession. But we were just insanely dominant. I think they like barely had half a chance on us one time. And, you know, we're joking with Brooks Thompson, offering him M&Ms, and, you know, Dylan's offering to speak him with him.
Yeah, he said I could come in for him.
Yeah.
That was great.
He didn't, but he should have threw you up the kit.
I also love how, like, the Railbirds, it's become our thing. You know, we chant chicken nuggies on set pieces. And I love it. And it was so fun that, like, everyone was checking to make sure, like, their location to make sure they could get free chicken nuggets on Wednesday because we scored on a set piece. You know, and, like, that's a whole new thing now that we're going to be screaming about chicken nuggies on every set piece.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a really good, like, vibe building, you know, experience with the club, you know, good community building. Like, if you were there on that Wednesday night for the Open Cup, you're like an OG kind of guy, you know, like you're a diehard, you know.
Yeah, and I do like that chant just simply because it's one of those quirky things that only grows organically from something just out there. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden people just start chanting chicken nuggies and like every set piece.
Yeah.
And Jessica was very passionate about it. She kept reminding us that we had to chant for chicken nuggets. She's like, we gotta get these chicken nuggets.
If someone else hadn't already started the chant, I was starting it.
Yeah. She was threatening me. I forgot a couple of times. She's like, you better start chanting so we get those. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
I know. That's the only way.
Yeah.
It was like, a palate cleanser. I felt like it. Yeah.
It just felt good, you know, because we were doing, you know, solid at that point in league. And then you get a good USOC result like that. And you just feel like, okay, we shook that off. And I'll be that petty guy. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of nice to see some USO1 teams get knocked out in the first round after how much crap they gave us last year. Every single one of them was like, you were the only team that got knocked out. And I'm like, half of you just got knocked out this year. Like, I don't know what to tell you, you know? And then even like the championship side got knocked out. Birmingham, they got knocked out. And so I'm like, okay, see, it's not just us. And then I know everybody's like, yeah, but you guys spent a lot of money. And it's like, I don't know if that gives you like full reign to root against us. Like, we were just over here vibing.
Now you're just moving the goal. You're just moving the goalpost.
It's like we were.
Right, who cares?
Yeah, we were just vibing, hoping for a good season that didn't make us sad. That's all it was. And then everybody's like, "Yeah, but we hate you because you spent money." Like, okay.
So,
well, now you guys all got knocked out of USOC in the first round, and we're moving on. So,
and one thing I would add, especially from the Open Cup game, and seeing a lot of our players that have not been starting so far, and seeing them gel, just the fact that they still there's so much cohesion with the team, even with those players, it was also just really nice.
Yeah, they fit in very well. Like the tactics didn't really change at all. Everyone, it was very plug and play. You know, everyone just get to your position and do your job, no matter who you are. As long as you're in your position, you know, you can make plays happen. And, you know, that's very nice. And it's good to know that for the times when the schedule is so bloated, these, you know, the deep roster is really going to come in handy. This proves that point, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I would have said, is them talking about when they make comments about having such a deep roster, like it's legit.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of people ball out. Now I know UPSL team, I get it, but we had a lot of people really, really just do so amazing. Alfredo Medins, what the heck? He went insane. Like, even if you take the assists and the goal out of the equation, I feel like every time he got the ball at his feet, everybody in the stands was losing their mind because he was doing something.
We were like, he's spicy. Like, he was really spicy on it. Like, he was
breaking ankles.
Yes.
Skates.
He could not be like, Baby was not put in the corner. You know, you can't put Baby in the corner. He like two guys would come at him and he would get away with the ball and he would be charging at the net.
Yeah.
And it was insane.
Yeah.
He did phenomenal in that match. I mean, obviously the stats back that up, the 3 assists, the goal, all of that. But I mean, he was the motor behind a lot of our attack for sure. He just was clean. And then we got our first look at Corey Berg and his like wild, like pure instinct number 9 goal, rushing in, just connect with the ball with any piece of your body you can. Like you could tell that's what was going through his head. It was just like, just smash it.
Just be there.
Doesn't matter.
He just ran through that ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was very stylish at the same time. For how like brutal it was stylish too. And that made it even cooler because it was just like, holy crap. Like he hated the ball. Like he wanted to end it right there. I don't know, but like besides mid-ends, I'm gonna take them off the table. Who kind of stood out for you guys? Who were you like, all right, this person, they're putting in some work. And I like what I'm seeing from him.
Goldthorpe is just, he's crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. He's starter to me.
Yeah.
That guy's box office, man. Anytime he gets the ball, he's going for the net. Like there's no doubt about it. On Saturday, you know, I'm not talking about the gameplay. I'm just talking about this experience. But on Saturday, I brought a friend and they sat with me and, you know, they're not very familiar with the roster. But I said, when he gets the ball, anytime he's going to charge the net. And that's exactly what he does. And chances are someone's going to score. Whether it's him or him passing to someone, they're going to score. He's just insanely talented.
Yeah, Kyle was saying, well, go for it, man. I'm not going to see you.
I was going to say it is going to be hard, I think, to keep him out of the starting lineup, even though he is so impactful coming off, you know, with those fresh legs. But I thought it was great seeing Burke. You know, he was one of those kind of late additions to the roster and one that, you know, you kind of think you know his skill set. And he's just that true 9. He's going to poach so many goals, I think, this year, which is going to be fantastic, and has that great instinct. You know, in front of the net. So it was great to see him going. You know, we were, I think it was in our text message group talking about, was it Daniel Wu and his passing numbers? He was like 134 for 135. It was like insane.
99%.
I don't know if he had any pressure on any of those passes, but it's still the whole back line
every time
took the night off, it seemed like, but
for real,
it seemed efficient.
Every time he got the ball and he passed it, everyone in the Railbirds would go, woo! It was great.
It was awesome. They were
psyched for some Daniel Wu. He was really good. I liked seeing Caceres. Like he's not somebody we've seen. He had a really good game. Like he's one of those players. We talk about this sometimes, right? Where you feel like a player is kind of like quiet just because there's not a lot of like flashy stuff going on around them, but they're just really, really impactful in those important ways that maybe kind of fly under the radar of like something like a highlight reel. But when you look at their game on its own, you realize like, okay, we needed that. We needed the things that they were doing. I think it was really cool to see what he had to offer for us. You know, he's a really young guy.
Yeah.
Getting him out there with his first pro contract.
I guess I didn't see him. I don't know why. Like he didn't register to me as someone who was going to be in that not only starting lineup, but that he's been on our 18, I think, for every match. And so obviously the staff trusts him. And so that's, you know, it's nothing against him. It's just maybe like you mentioned, one of those kind of quiet signings that's like, you know, he's going to fill a role, but it seems like he could have a bigger impact on this club than we all thought. Because I don't know if we really spent a lot of time on him in preseason at all either. So definitely a solid outing from him. And like I said, it seems like I think he's been on the roster sheet for all of our matches. So, you know, obviously someone the staff likes.
I think that's important to bring up too, because, you know, we see the 18 and I think sometimes fans are like, wait, we heard a lot about this player and they're not in the 18, but we've not really seen anything from this player and they're in the 18. So I think this cup match was a really good chance to be like, this is why we're putting them in the 18. This is why you're seeing their name pop up so much. So that's a great point, Kyle, just from that type of standpoint. And I think it answers a lot of questions for fans and, helps us be like, okay, all right, I'm okay with this. I'm vibing with what you're putting out on the field now or what you're keeping on the bench for us in those matches. That was a good one. Jessica, who'd you like?
Yeah, I'm trying to think through. I feel like you guys have put it all really well. I can't really think of anyone outside of what you guys have mentioned.
There's good ones. Stauffer.
Yeah, I was just about to say Stauffer.
Yeah. That's true. That's
very
true.
Nicely.
Yeah.
And that role is really extensive being out that way. And he put in a lot of work, and to get in that goal too was just incredible work from him. I really like his hustle. I really like what he has to offer. I'm hoping to see him in the 18 more often.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's true.
I like him.
Thanks for answering.
He's kind of the opposite of Caceres, where I thought he's one that I thought like would be in that. I think we almost had him in our projected lineups, and
right.
So,
I did. Yeah, for sure.
It's a good.
So it's good to see him.
And in general for Stauffer, he's also really cool. Anytime we've talked to him, he's super chill.
Yeah, super nice guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And also like he came in late, but Braudelio did really good too. He's in the same basket as Goldthorpe for me.
I would have him as a starter as well at this point. Like anytime he's on the field, and kind of those two as a package are incredible together. I think they work really well. And I don't know, just like them two plus Burke, I just see goals.
Yeah. And I think I kind of get the vibe or like the sense that with Burke in the mix, they're kind of like keeping Braudelio as almost like that backup striker now, as opposed to just like deploy him on the wing plus whoever, whether it be Goldthorpe or Epps or whoever you might put out. So I think that maybe that might be why Braudelio is more of like a super sub, because they were like, all right, let's keep the pressure on at the striker position. Whereas we were seeing him more as a winger at first, but I think that's maybe where he's transitioned. So that's a tough one because, I want to see more of what Burke has. And I love Braudelio's game. Like he's very dynamic when he's out there. And I think it's really exciting to watch. And it always feels like whenever he gets close to the 18, he's always making things happen. You kind of hold your breath a little bit when you see that, and it's really cool to have that switch though, because I feel like him and Burke are very different styles of strikers. Like Burke is kind of like your traditional 9, like you get that anywhere near him, he's going to bang it into the back of the net. Braudelio is a little bit more like, I'm going to kind of do it my own and do a little bit extra footwork through here and then make things happen that probably shouldn't happen. It's just, it's a good problem to have. Like it is nice actually sitting here talking about this stuff and being like, oh man, I would start this person, but this person's great too. And the depth feels truly there. It doesn't feel like it's just a saying we're a deep team. It feels like we're seeing that we're a deep team in real time. And you can actually back it up with what's being put on the field. So USOC. I'm ready. I'm ready for round 2. Columbus Crew 2. They're going to wish that we stood them up again for Messi. Because I feel like we got this. I don't want to be one of those people, but I just feel really good about this matchup. They're just a team that doesn't really put the fear in me, out of like who you could, face. So I have pretty good feelings that we're going to end up doing really, really good. I'm bummed I won't be able to watch it in real time. I'll be coaching in a rivalry game of my own, but I'm going to watch the replay later. So I'm
bummed that it's not home.
I know.
Remind the fans listening when the match is.
April 1st. April Fool's Day. We'll see who's the fool that day. Or something like that. I don't know.
A pity to fool.
There we go. I was waiting for who's going to do it. I was like, I bet Jessica will take care of it. I knew I could count on you.
No problem.
Although you forgot the things we discussed.
7 o'clock or 8 o'clock kickoff?
6.
6. Oh, yeah, that's right.
6.
Yeah, 6.
So I'll just be starting our own game. So I'll have to watch
April
it later.
1st, 6
so I'm going to put my phone in like a lockbox and throw it into a lake and then go fish for it later after the game and, get it out, make sure it still works, and check all the scores, watch the game. But yeah, I feel good about that one. Let's talk about championship now. Indy 11. Man, their fans traveled really well. They did. That was a pretty good showing from them. I feel like outside of Spokane, whatever they came for our Super League game, the one that we were at, getting completely drenched. Jessica, Dylan, I think all three of us were there for that one. I think outside of that, that's the best traveling crowd I've seen come to an LSC game. They had that whole section, well, at least about, 60
decent
field, which wasn't bad. So, Indy 11 game, I just got to address this right off the bat. Officiating was terrible. Turrible. It just wasn't good. I'm okay too when it's bad officiating for everybody, but I feel like it was just really bad officiating for us.
It felt one-sided. Yeah.
It did. I brought this up before. We're all sitting right in front of that one time that Epps was working the ball towards the goal from like the touchline, and then one of their players steps in front of them, and they both fall down.
And they called it on us. Yeah.
And I was like, what's happening? And I don't know if you guys went back and watched it, but that offside goal from Javert, it was not offside. Like, I looked at it like 400 times, and I was like, everybody's onside because they had a defender on the goal line with their keeper. And I'm like, nobody's in the net. Nobody's past that point. Like, what's happening?
Oh, because it was a corner, right?
No, it was a set piece. Right? Wasn't it a set piece from like, I don't know, like 20 out or something like that off to the side?
Yeah.
And
I think from the right side.
I kept watching it, and even the commentators were like, wait a second, did they call that offside? Like, what's happening right now? I was really perplexed every time I watch it because I'm like, I got to be missing something. There's got to be something that's just not connecting into my brain. And the more I looked at it, the more I'm like, there's no ability for our guys to be offside based on the positioning of their keeper and their last defender. We'd have to be in the net itself. So I don't want to be one of those, but I just feel like that was a game that the character of the game was definitely altered based on some just poor calls. But you can't really do anything about that, right? I mean, it's kind of have to rise above it and play better than the calls are being made. And I think the worst thing is it kind of stole away from like the game it could have been, because I felt like the momentum was constantly being broken for either side, really. Just as soon as anybody would start kind of like building something, they would call some random bogus call that I'm like, I don't know if that was necessarily something worth calling, or the ones that were necessary to call, they were just kind of like, I don't know, whatever, not a big deal. Our guys getting pulled down right and left, that situation with Marcus, that I don't know. It was just a lot of that. And you hate to see it because it always just kind of sours the game, right? If a team beats you outright and there aren't any bogus calls like that, of course, there always going to be something, right? Because refs are human. It is what it is. We all make mistakes. We all miss things. Things are happening in real time, and you don't have VAR. But to have that many of those types of calls, it's just like, oh my gosh.
It's so frustrating.
This could have been an even better game. And I thought it was a good game between both of our sides. I thought it was exciting. I think there was a lot of ebbs and flows. I thought there was a lot of times where like they had their foot on the gas pedal, and then, we kind of regain that momentum and take it right back to them. And in that sense, it was really, really exciting. But I think it could have been more if we had some better officiating happening on the field. And I can say that because I can't get fined. So I'll say it for the coaches and everybody else that wanted to say it on the team. It was bad officiating.
I think, there are times when draws feel like wins and draws feel like losses. And this one felt like a win to me, in the fact that like we went down, 0-1, and then we clawed back and earned that point, and I feel like previously, that's not something we would have seen. I think previously we would have seen our team just like fall over and die, to be honest, and to see the team fight back and earn that point back was really noble, and it showed a lot of fight, and it made me super pumped, like, to walk away with that point, to be honest, and not at all upset that it's only one. Indy 11's a good team. They're an established, roster, and everything. So I think it's a really positive outlook for us. And I mean, just look at our history. We haven't done this well this early in a season before. Like, I feel like there's a lot to, be thankful for right now with the club, in terms of the play on the field. And 100%. So I think it was a good draw, good effort.
I was thinking the interviews with Boss and Speedy and Epps after the game, and how pretty much you can tell Boss has been very consistent with the players as far as the message to them and the identity that they're creating as a team. Especially one thing that pretty much each of them have commented on is that no matter what, they keep up the momentum. They don't let the calls or, whatever happened, like goals, they don't let it phase them. They just keep driving and going hard to just play their absolute best and put their hearts out, like leave their hearts on the field, at the end of the game. Just, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, just leaving it all in the field. Yeah. And I think that has been really evident with the games that we've seen so far, that they just did not give up, and they didn't let the yellow cards phase them, or the fouls, however the calls, even though it felt a little lopsided, they still went out and played their game. And they did really well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. And something that struck me, you mentioned the interviews with Coach Boss, and he was telling us, like, look, this isn't up to standard. This is not where we should be. And, knee-jerk reaction for me, who's been around since the beginning, is,
but they're actually doing
this
good.
This is all right, man. Are we watching the same stuff? This is okay with me. But I can appreciate what he's meaning. I think in his mind it's, we're always going to be striving for better than this, and we can't just settle for, like, well, the refs were terrible and we got to draw, cool, right, whatever. And so I appreciate that side of it, because even me being like, all right, we still get points, we're doing great with this all. It's nice to have a coach that just understands, and I think is going to convey with the team, like, next time we got to put that away. Next time, it can't be like the refs did us in. We got to overcome that. It can't be, this and this and this happened. It can't be, we lost, Gladiator Joe Hafferty to a head wound, and now we are having to figure things out. I think that is something that all fans will find endearing in the sense of, like, we're striving for something that we can all hang our hat on at the end of the day. And I like it. I enjoy it. But sorry, I offhandedly mentioned Joe Hafferty, but can we also just, like, talk about, like, how insane that is? Dude, like, props to Joe. Like,
you heard
the
head collision from where we were sitting. It was like, did that really just happen? Like,
and he was walking around after the match, like, signing things for fans and
all stitched up.
Like, like, no big deal. Which I heard, like, one fan, he was like, hey man, you want to put some ice on that? That doesn't look so good. And I'm like, yeah, he had his face busted open, man. Like, that was intense, stitches and all. But I hope he's okay. I don't know concussion status or whatever, but that was a knock. Like you had said, Jessica, like, we heard that. That was a rough one. Maybe he'll have, like, one of those cool, like, Batman masks to protect his face, and be going out there putting in his shift with his face shield on and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We just need somebody to, like, design it. You know how, like, hockey goalies have, like, the cool face masks with, like, the crazy designs? We need a Joe Hafferty one. If they give him a face mask, somebody needs to make, like, a cool LSC design on it, just to, strike fear in the hearts of attackers and other teams. That's my pitch.
Well, and Kyle you haven't been able to make it to a match for a while now. So how's it feel to finally be able to make it to a match?
It was great. I eventually got there. I missed the whole drama with the Hafferty collision, but we got there about 20 minutes late. Forces that be tried to keep us away. No, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't my first time at the new venue, obviously, but it was my first time this season, as you mentioned, and I thought that the vibes were great. You know, I do think Indy 11 and the whole Brickyard Battalion and their whole well-established, fandom is good for us to get a glimpse of, I think. So you can kind of see how some of these longer established clubs, how well they travel and support their club. And I think that's there's that part of it, which I think was good for us. And then on the pitch itself, I think we proved that this sounds really weird, but it proved that we're a professional soccer team in the way that we handled a lot of different types of adversity, whether it's losing your starting, one of your starting players in the opening stages of the game, or, having a 10-4 foul differential. And some of them were it wasn't even the total number. It was the time and place in which they occurred, like the one with Marcus just outside, the 18-yard box, which would have just been obviously a really dangerous set piece opportunity. And so you have a lot of those instances. You go down by the goal. You have a goal called off because of offside. All of these different types of things that I think a lesser club would have folded under or said, tonight's just not our night. People are getting flat tires on the way to the match. It's not meant to be. People. And so, but to
multiple
dig deep
people
at a point, like Dylan said, that's a big point. That point at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it'll look the same as all the others. But I think it showed a lot that this, club was continuing to fight and push. And I mean, the second half, especially, like Tyler, you mentioned kind of trading off momentum and foot on the gas and that, but it felt like the last 30 minutes were ours. We really dictated a lot of that match, and it felt like the equalizer was inevitable. And then it really felt like, we might be able to nick this thing at the end here and actually come away with 3 points. But just really proud of the team on the pitch. As far as the venue itself, though, I will say I don't think the team shop was up last time I went. That was pretty cool. Shout out to Leslie. So, I really enjoyed it once I got there, and I do think, like I said, there's some promising signs from this club, knowing that, if things aren't going our way, there's still a chance to fight and come out with a win, or at least, split the point.
Mm-hmm.
We also, the mini pitch wasn't there last time you were there. We need a 2v2 CKL match.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll let you guys fight over me.
Dude, I think your last pick, to be honest.
Yeah, that's for last.
Oh, man. How would we even do that matchup? I don't know.
I'm calling Kyle just simply because he has so many friends in the club. They'll probably rig the match for whoever's team he's on. So,
all right, Dylan, let's go.
It'll have weird
every time I go now and I walk around and I see people with a staff shirt or a lanyard or whatever, I'm like, I don't know who you are. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't been there. I'm like, it's been, a good year and a half. Eventually, I'm just not going to know anybody. So, but I'll try to, for as long as I can, I'll still, at least try to pull some strings.
I just keep walking around and I'm like, hey, you probably know Kyle Pearson. They're like, who's that? And I'm like, you obviously don't work here then, man, because you don't know the triple OG then. You can just get lost.
I will say it's good news for the club, because it used to be when we were in Toyota Stadium, there were I felt like there were 4 of us working a game day. And now it's like, you see so many people. It's great. Yeah. You're like, oh, wait, you mean you're not, they didn't ask you to put up the field boards before the match? Stuff that's.
The good old days.
The good old days. Yeah.
Kyle sounded like one of those, boomers. I remember when.
Back in my day. Yeah. I screwed a lot of those field boards. Not the ones on the baseline. They're still using them. They look good.
Laid the turf at Toyota Stadium.
I did not do that.
Oh, well. You could have said you did. Who would have known? Like,
I was there when they did.
Yeah, that counts. You supervised. There we go. We found a happy medium.
For the cup game, Epps got player of the match, right? No, Miggins.
Oh yeah, for cup, yes, but instead,
okay,
yeah.
And then Epps won player of the match again because he got the Orange County player of the match too, didn't he?
Yeah. So second one in 4 games that he's swept up. So he put in a shift against Indy. I mean, lots of guys did lots of great work, but I think that goal obviously probably put him over the edge with the fan vote because everybody was losing their mind when he finally got that. It always felt like it was inevitable too. Every time he got into that area, it was just like, okay, he's going to take a shot and he's going to score. And then he did, and everybody lost it.
That one actually looked cooler on the broadcast, I thought, because you really got a good look at the angle of the way he kind of curved it in, obviously, far post. It was impressive live, I will say, but it was one that it's definitely worth a look. If you were at the match, it's worth a look on the broadcast angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really, really sweet goal.
And it was hard to decide on a 4 for player of the match too, because I feel like everybody just
had an impact.
Yeah,
they truly did, and that's exactly the problem you want, is being like, I don't even know who to put up for this because of that. And it was close for a couple players in their votes, but Marcus, I think, definitely showed out. And it's cool because that was his 200th match. So congrats, Marcus. 200 matches, man, and then get player of the match. You score a goal. All the above, dude. Man, what an accomplishment. I just hope we start seeing even more of him cooking like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out Danny Barber because I feel like he's very low key for the team, but he's very, very good.
Yeah.
And, he's very good defensively. And he's really good in the air, which is so useful. And I think he's dangerous on set pieces as well. So
we lost you.
Did we?
No.
I
think it was just Jessica.
Or did I lose you guys?
Yep, Jessica lost us.
Yeah. Lost in the mix. So, but we can see Jessica. This is like a weird Inception moment. We'll get her back. Yeah, no, that's a good shout out, Dylan. He's like a really, really good option back there at center back, and I really like how aggressive he is, how much he gets up in the attack and assists with things going on in the other half of the field. And his height, man, comes in handy with a lot of our situations that we run into. It's just, I mean, you could sing just about anybody's praises on this team, and I don't think that you would be unfounded in praising them in any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of guys that I keep looking and I'm like, oh man, you deserve props. You deserve props. You deserve props. Again, another good problem to have, right? We keep talking about that. And you want to have that continue. You hope that continues and we continuously, see those amazing matches between different people. So I don't know. We'll see what the future holds for us though. But for now,
it's remarkable that he was on Miami FC last season and how dreadful that team was and how bad that defense was. Obviously, defense doesn't always come down to the goalie or the defenders.
Right.
Or it's like it truly is like a team sport, right? Obviously, I'm not breaking news here, but just because I was talking to my cousin who's an Indy 11 fan, and he was like, I know we're coming off a win, but it was against Miami FC. And I remember when we signed Danny too, just looking at if everyone has some a free moment, you should go look at Miami FC 2024 and some of the scores. I think they were a negative 63 goal differential. It was shocking. And so obviously
Khalid getting hurt did not help their season.
Did not help at all. It just seemed like everything went wrong for the 2024 Miami FC because it's not like, I feel like the year before they were in the playoffs. It was just a weird, super, super down year. But it was. I'm glad we got him out of there, and he's serving us much better than he was serving for them too.
It's a great pickup for us, truly. We got San Antonio at home next, so that'll be another challenge. We got a team out of the West that we're going to have to go up against. And they're doing pretty good. We're in 5th place right now, and they're holding strong in the upper half of the standings as well. So I think that'll be a really, really fun one to just kind of see how the guys evolve from these last few matches, and 2 draws that, kind of felt like they shouldn't have been draws. I think that's the other part of it that's going to be interesting whenever it all is said and done, because there's that controversial, goal at the end of Orange County where you're wondering, was that in Ketterer's hands? And then Indy, we have the offsides goal as well as all the bogus calls. So we'll see what time brings our way. All right, final thoughts on championship before we move into Super League. We did a lot of championship talk. Summarize it.
We'll just Antonio, I think, is just going to say it loud. I think 1 goal in 3 matches. So
yeah, they're very good.
Put our attacking,
we
really forwards and attacking midfielders to the task here. Very good club.
Yeah. It's gonna be, I think, a tough matchup. Honestly,
a classic Western Conference showdown. When you think of the biggest Western Conference teams, it's San Antonio, and then it's Lexington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when everyone thinks of Western, they think of those 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Big. Yeah.
We are absolutely West, no doubt.
Best Western.
It's like the classic. It's like the classic ACC matchup of Stanford and Cal. That's probably my favorite.
Yes.
I don't even know if those 2 are.
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me.
We get the idea.
Realignment, they will be at one point.
Yeah,
it's all made up. This is like somebody's like, you know what? Just throw them together. It's all good.
Yeah,
they will be a team that I'm interested to play against. I feel like every team though is just kind of like, I'm just waiting to see what happens. They're all kind of exciting in their own way. With Orange County, it was like, oh, they had a really good game, and then they're coming to us, and then Indy 11 perpetually does pretty well each season. So you're wondering how that's going to shake out. San Antonio truly is in the conversation every single year, it seems like, as far as teams that are doing fairly well. So it's I just hope we keep riding this wave. I know Boss wants only wins, and I agree, but even, draws, points on the board for us is good in my book, especially in our first year, our first jump into the championship. So
yeah, and I think when we talked preseason, last thought was what's a match you're looking forward to? And I think I got out of that question by saying there's actually 3 matches I'm looking forward to, but it was kind of like that swing of it was the Open Cup match, we checked that box, and then it was the home match against Indy 11 coming off the short week and up against a club that we all know to be pretty solid, and then San Antonio. So kind of this 3-match run, I feel like, the first 2 obstacles I would give check marks, and we'll see how it goes this week.
Yeah. It'll go great. All goals for us. None for San Antonio. No goals for you. We got Jessica back.
Can you hear me?
Back, right? Yeah, we can. Can you hear us?
Hey. I don't know what happened, but
yeah, it's okay. I feel like this has been the technical difficulty pod, because earlier you guys were all glitching at the beginning, and I was like, can they hear me? What's happening? It's just one of those nights. Let's transition to Super League. We cool with that? I feel like we talked a lot about championship. There's lots of good stuff happening, and or has happened.
Double rainbow.
Now, yeah, hey, you know what? That's a good way to start it off, Dylan. MVP of the match was the double rainbow at the match. It was the most brilliant rainbow I've ever seen. Like a portal into a better world where LSD only wins matches. All I had to do was follow it, and it actually ended at the La Quinta on the other side of the stadium. So I drove to the La Quinta afterwards, and I asked them if they had any 3 points available, and they were like, we need you to leave before we call security. And so I just went home.
I love how your post was that nobody balled harder than that double rainbow. I cracked up at work when I saw that. It was awesome.
I'm glad you appreciated it. I don't think enough people appreciated it. I was like, I thought that was a good post.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it's almost as good as the rainbow.
I mean, the bottom rainbow was honestly the most beautiful rainbow I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was radioactive.
Yeah.
That thing was crazy. That thing popped off.
Yeah, it did.
Couldn't tell if like nature was taunting us or telling us everything's gonna be okay. I was like, I don't know how to take this right now.
Honestly,
I think this is a good moment for me to let's say this is a good moment, I think, for me to leave the conversation. We started with AI Tyler duplicates, and now we're on double rainbows. So I think it's about time.
Answering the age-old question of what could it mean? We have actually a lot of young listeners that are like in the early 20s range, and they probably have no idea what that reference is. So
I didn't know where you're going with that. So I'm like, have I been saying bad words?
What do you mean double rainbow? Oh, no. Just talking about like the old video, the oldies but the goodies, you know?
Yeah.
From back in our childhood.
We have a lot of children listening to our podcast. They're like super locked in.
Charlie the Unicorn.
But,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Charlie the Unicorn.
Yeah.
Charlie the Unicorn and Charlie Bit Me are different.
Oh man. Kyle's been trying to make this escape for like
you guys talk about Super League. And I'll catch you on the flippity flip. It's been real.
Yeah, you will. All right.
Hey, Kyle.
Bye, Tyler. AI number 4. As he signs off, that was perfect.
What happened to number 3?
Oh, you know what happened to number
3.
That
was a failed experiment.
Yep. Started like supporting one Knox, and I had to ship them off to Siberia. So that's where they are. They now herd reindeer. So Super League. We can't keep talking about the glorious rainbow forever.
Yeah.
We got to get into what's the opposite? What's an evil version of a rainbow? I don't know.
I mean,
that match was that was a rough match, y'all. I think everybody knows we support this team like nothing else. We love these players. They're great human beings. They're so nice. They try so hard. But man, if things were just not clicking in this match, and I think we all agree, we all even said this, and I think other fans in the stadium were saying this, people that we weren't even talking to, the lineup to start just wasn't it.
No.
It just wasn't it. And I think everybody in the stadium knew it wasn't it pretty quickly, because those three goals came super fast, super furious, and it took an awful long time for us to make some adjustments. And I know there's a lot to be said for like believing in your players and being like, okay, you can bounce back. You can do this. Like, I know we just got punched in the mouth, but let's get it together. But at the same time, there's a certain point where you're like, okay, you didn't just get punched in the mouth. Like, this is getting serious. Like, we're going to have to take you to the hospital at some point because the way we're getting beat down. The 3 goals were just...
And after coming back from the win against DC, I think we were feeling pretty good and excited, and they just got knocked down and didn't get back up.
Yeah.
What is happening with the Super League team is honestly coaching malpractice. Like, the lineups are not it, and the adjustments are not it. We're not ever putting our best foot forward. And like in the fall, we were consistently getting goals, right? Regardless of how we're getting them in play or in like direct play or set pieces, corner kicks, whatever the hell, we're getting goals. And then like we totally switched that up in the spring, and we, get rid of that, that like attack by benching Maddie Parsons. Like, it's coaching malpractice. And, this is like nothing against Hannah White, but anytime she touched the ball on Sunday meant we were giving the ball back to Carolina. Like, directly. So many offsides. And like, she's just too raw at this point, right? Like, she's fresh out of college, and you can tell in the Super League, the skill gap between college and professional is there. Professional players are in the Super League, and they're kicking our butts right now. Like, it's crazy. We need to play our players who are professionals. We need to play Maddie Parsons and Corey Sullivan and Grace Wisniewski. Like, these are players who have professional experience. Like, Grace Wisniewski is on her national team. Like, if you're on your national team, that means you're a good freaking player. Why isn't she starting? And anytime we've seen her touch the ball, she's been nutty with it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's coaching malpractice to me. The problems with our team is defense and consistency. And we get consistency by having players consistently play together, building that chemistry between them. Have a defensive back shape that is consistent week in and week out. We can't keep switching people. Now, granted, I think Autumn was injured and Claire Claire Winter was also injured, and Claire is super important. Claire is super important. We intensely missed her on Sunday. She's such a defensive anchor for us, and it hindered Shay a little bit as well. They're a defensive pair that needs to be together.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand what is going on when the answers are right there. The answers are right in front of us. Like, I think you have to be blind to not be able to, like, make those adjustments.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, having Claire Winter and Autumn Weeks out, I think was definitely a huge setback just from the get-go as far as the starting lineup. And completely agree with you, Dylan, that the lineup was, it just was not it. And there was no cohesion. The communication was just totally off. They were not reading each other well, setting each other up well. And they just deflated.
Yeah. I just, in the same vein as what you guys are saying, I think there's just too much of this idea of versatility and switching things up and experimenting. Our time for experimentation is over. I know we injected some new talent into the team, but I don't think it's the right move. Yes, our results haven't been there, but to fill half of our starting lineup with brand new players and the other half old. And yes, you had a little bit of that, not really off season, but that winter break to try and gel them together. And you've had practices and you've had a few games. I'm not a huge fan of you just mix and match continuously. Like, even if your team is not seeing a lot of great results, I feel you need to keep consistency to some degree, because if you're just constantly moving people around, not even just in and out of lineup, but in positions, we keep moving people around positions. There's a few people that, you're here. This is you. This is what you do. Like Shay, for instance, right? She's always going to be in the spot she's in. But there are a lot of people that we're just kind of like moving everywhere. And yes, you might have chemistry as a team in the sense of we play together, we practice together, but there's also chemistry for where you're at on the field too, right? So you have people that are like, oh, when you're up top, I know kind of our vibe and how we work together. Oh, all of a sudden you're playing fullback. We're not really used to running that. So let's kind of see what happens. And you see that biting us in the ass all the time. And I'm just like, come on, you all. We have to do something. And I appreciate every player that's here. And I'm glad for our new talents that we've got. I just don't know why we have so many players that it feels like we've seen glimpses of impacts. Like, for instance, Dylan, you mentioned Grace. I feel like the times we've seen Grace come off the bench and play for us, she's done really great. I feel like in this particular game, putting Corey out there with Maddie was really awesome. I mean, Corey had that crazy shot that, oh man, it was by the hair of his chitty chin chin, right? It was right there, hit the woodwork. It was so close, but it was the idea of even just taking that shot like she did. Yeah. And it just was really, really tough to see we paid for all these brand new players, and it doesn't seem like we've progressed. It seems like we've regressed. And I know we were all flying high from a couple decent results coming back out of the break, and that I think that's warranted. And you're going to have these dips. You're going to. I think the thing with this particular game and its particular dip isn't that we lost a match. I don't think that's what anybody is railing against. You're going to lose matches occasionally. It's just going to happen. I think it's the way we lost. Right. It was a catastrophic loss in the sense that we were essentially just letting them score.
It felt preventable.
When you think about the ways they scored, it wasn't like they were like slicing and dicing up the field and like, oh man, they're overwhelming it. We were making mistakes that it was like, this feels like a team that has never played together. And we're just like, we're literally kicking the ball to their player who's at like 20 yards out from our goal. Yeah. And then they can just let it rip and there's nobody there to do anything about it, or we're kind of caught off guard. And I mean, I think the team knows that even from the interviews afterwards. I think they know. I think all the players understand like that was not what it should have been, and it can't be that again. And you're always going to have a bad game here and there. I just think it feels extra bad when you take the sum of the parts from the season plus the gravity of the mistakes that caused the loss to be so bad, and you just kind of mush it all together, and then you're like, it's not great. It doesn't feel good. Like
when we compare to the game against Indy and how we were talking about how they just didn't let anything get to them, this was the exact opposite. Is they let it get to them. I think with the rain and all the slipping, which I understand happens, but I feel like we were slipping all over the place compared to Carolina. Yeah. It just didn't really seem to affect them as much as it did us. And so I think it was cold, it was rainy, they were slipping all over the place. We kept giving the ball away. We gave them multiple goals, and they didn't know how to, they let it get to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just comes down to like that lineup has not played together at all. So they, this was literally a team's first time together, basically. That's what it felt like. And it felt like it could have been prevented. Like it really felt that way. And there are moments when, we can look, promising. Like there was one cross that Shea puts in, and, if someone's right there, if a Maddie Parsons is, starting, sure as shit, she's right there to head that in, but we're not setting ourselves up to be in those positions. We're just having these empty chances, essentially. Like we'll get up there into that final third, but then we can't do anything with it. It's just almost like, oh, I know that the ball is going to go over the net, and then it's a goal kick for the other team. There's never a time when we're sitting in the final third and we're holding possession and we're passing it back and forth and trying to pick the lock of their defense. We don't have those moments. We're always just like chucking it and hoping for the best.
Yeah,
I agree. There's a site. They actually, I don't think they post anywhere else except for like Blue Sky, but they do a bunch of analytics for different teams, and they do it for Super League and stuff. We had a 0.77 expected goal, and they had a 3.88. So like by those numbers, essentially what that means is Carolina, they were scoring about on par with what they were expected to score, and then we just didn't have quality chances. And we had 9 shots, 0 on target, technically, because hitting woodwork doesn't count for on target, unfortunately. And they had 24 shots, 12 on target, which is wild. And then when you have like the wavy map, right, that shows kind of like the ebbs and flows of the game that a lot of different analytic sites use, we only had like one noticeable change, and that happened to be when we got some subs on late in the game, like Maddie and Corey and Mary Kate. So
yeah,
I just don't know. After this game, I don't think that you can ignore the impact players that were impact players early on. You cannot do it. I don't see how you do. I just don't know. I would like to see more of Corey. I'd like to see more of Mary Kate. I'd like to see more of Grace. I definitely would like to see more of Maddie. Like Maddie hasn't played consistent as a starter since we came back, and she still leads the league in several analytics as far as goal contributions.
Like, that's coaching malpractice.
I understand there are factors behind the scenes, and we are not privy to those things. But when you have a known quantity, if there are not some type of extenuating circumstances, you got to go with what you know works before you give up on that. And honestly, and this is no offense to any of our women players, but our biggest hole in everything was just defense. And that's not just on our back line, right? That's not on our keepers. That's the entire team, right? You have 11 defenders on the field whenever you really break it down. So we as a team, defensively, we're not doing our jobs. But offensively, I don't think that we were hurting. And now all of a sudden we're like, let's just completely switch up the offense. And now
Maddie
we're not scoring.
Doesn't get called offsides constantly.
Yeah.
What really makes me angry is it feels like it's more of a political decision than anything, because right now Stocks is at the helm, and previously Mike Dickey was at the helm, and Maddie was getting consistent minutes with Mike Dickey, and it feels like to me that he wanted her on the roster. And Stocks is also a director for the club as well, so now he's playing people that he wanted to bring in and people that he potentially see on the field. But that's not like how talent works. Like, people are good, and like you have to be flexible, and you have to just like see, like, whether you're watching it on the field or looking at the stats, it's undeniable who on the team makes an impact for us.
I think, and this is without having any answers at all, I think it definitely does feel like we bought players, and so we're going to play those new players because it wasn't working before. And, it is what it is. And maybe they'll turn around and lay it on Dallas this coming week, or in our next game. I think if we don't, but I mean, yeah, truly, like, we're at home, and Carolina, we've been able to go toe to toe with pretty decently in the past. And we just got throttled by them. It was not good. And they're a good team, sure, but we shouldn't be having that happening.
Like, exactly to your point, Tyler, I felt like we were going to win this game. Like, going in, I thought we were the better team. I thought with all the momentum from this spring season that we were going to win this game. And I thought, like, Carolina was easy pickings for us. But when you do that, then, then I really have doubts. Then this next match looks hell of a lot harder than it did, prior to Sunday, Saturday,
Yeah. No, I agree.
Last time we played them, we only lost 2-1.
Yeah.
So,
and we still have players that are new that we've not seen take the field for us. So who knows? Maybe they'll show up, and maybe that will be the key that unlocks everything. I don't know. We have 3 players from the Columbia National U20 team that we've signed, and maybe that's the fix whenever they get on the pitch. I don't know. I just feel like at some point you just have to nail down what you want and go with it, and hammer out the kinks, right? And try and refine it. There is such a thing as we're playing with our food a little too much, right? We're deciding like, oh, well, let's kind of change this, but let's change this, but let's change this, and it's game after game after game after game, while ignoring the things that have been consistent. I'm just not loving kind of like the approach, and I guess you could argue that's kind of like been the whole season, the story of the whole thing, and I know a lot of it is players got to perform for sure. A lot of it is also like decision making and how you deploy those players. That matters a whole heck of a lot. Otherwise, coaching wouldn't be such a high pressure job. But we got to find a way to get those things to marry and to do what we need to do to finish the rest of the season strong, because time is getting really short for us to do much. Like, the gap is widening game after game after game. And as an LSU fan, anybody that's been there from day one, we've kind of had our fill of being like the punching bag of leagues. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm over being the punching bag. I would like us to find a way for our team to be competitive from here on out at a consistent level, to at least, if we suffer a loss, it is not like an embarrassing blowout loss. I don't know how many more of those people can take. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part of it all. We want to be competitive at minimum. And it's just not been consistent. So
Agreed.
Love the ladies. They're awesome people.
Oh yeah. We'll
Great
still
players,
go out and support them and cheer them on.
Scream our lungs out. Yeah. So, I know a lot of people listen. If you feel like we're being harsh, just know we're still going to be out there in the rain and the cold when nobody else is, and everybody's at home watching UK. We're going to be in the stands on a cold, windy, rainy, miserable day, still cheering you on. And we hope that you do great.
Any home game, I'll always be there. So
Well, and I think that's what's so disappointing and frustrating is we know we're better.
Yeah.
We know we're better than this.
Yes. It's true.
Yeah. And I think they know they're better than that. And yeah.
I know. We'll get there or we won't.
On the plus side, William got fan of the match.
Yeah. So. You don't know Jessica's son. Yeah, he got fan of the match.
My son got fan of the
big
match.
Time.
He was ecstatic. That was a lot of fun.
That was very cool. He's big time now. And got a kit.
He did. He heard you guys. He could hear. I could hear you guys. I think he could see you guys cheer and hear you guys cheering for him while he was waving. It was really cool.
Oh yeah. I was yelling and walking by people, and people were like, "Why is this man screaming?" Because I was walking towards the stairs at the same time. And I'm like, "William, I know him." And like, "You don't know fan of the match." I'm like, "No, seriously, I know William." Like, "Okay, buddy." No, that was really, really neat to see. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't know what the fix is, y'all, but I hope that the fix comes fast. I think it's also making a really hard juxtaposition now that our men's team got us feeling so hopeful.
Yeah.
They're playing such exciting, cohesive football with a strong identity. And we're still kind of like hoping for the ladies to figure it out as well. And so I think maybe that makes the feelings a little bit deeper whenever we have these tough moments. But we're still believing, right?
Yep.
Still always come on, you greens. We can do it, and we'll be there yelling as much as we can in those matches. I know that much. All right. Whew. Final thoughts.
Coming up.
Yeah, we got games and games and games, and got U.S. Open Cup on April 1st. We got San Antonio this weekend. We got Dallas on April 6th for the women's team, which Dallas is bullying teams right and left. They just bullied Brooklyn twice in 3 weeks, so that's something. After we broke Brooklyn with our tie, so we got lots of matches coming up, and hopefully the weather will continue to improve. And we will continue to see more and more people out there. And the women can actually get a game when it's not storming or windy or 4 degrees.
They deserve a nice weather game. So bad.
Yeah, they do.
They do. And maybe that's what we need. We just need a good, nice weather game with a bunch of fans out there. And that'll be the magic trick. And there we go. We just take off from that point. But we'll see. We'll see.
We know.
All right.
We know they've got it in them.
Yes. Final thoughts from y'all before we sign up from this extra beefy episode.
Was beefy.
Yeah, for real. For real. All right, guys. Well, everybody out there listening, make sure you come out to games. Make sure you cheer on the team. Capitalize on all these crazy ticket deals that they keep sending out. Watch for them. They're all over the place. It'll be like, hey, you want to come for $3? Hey, you want to come for free? Hey, you want to come for like free and we'll give you a t-shirt? Like there's all kinds of things. So spread the word. Like even if you can't come to a game, get somebody else onto that deal. Get those tickets in their hands. Fill those stands. I know so many people who have been coming to games for the first time and they've been having a blast and they said they're going to come back. We have to keep that rolling. We have to keep people in that mindset. And even if they don't come to every game, if they come to like, I don't know, a third of our games, that's still a big win. So keep spreading the word, spreading the tickets.
Sign up for the LSC's email list, because that's where they've been sending out a lot of those promos and deals. They've got a lot.
Good shout for sure. You always got to watch that. All right, then. Well, until next time, hopefully we'll have lots of good news to report when we're back with you all. Until then, you know the drill. Come on, you Greens.